I am so excited about this interview because it's the first time I've said, welcome to the TrustEngine community. Yesterday was a big day here in TrustEngine land, Mortgage Coach, Sales Boomerang. We announced last year that we merged as companies. We announced last year that we brought on a new CEO, and now we have really shared our strategy and our vision for the future. And as you can see, I got a different shirt on. You know, it's got some color to it. It's got some sass to it. Rich Harris, welcome to the first interview of the TrustEngine YouTube channel.
Thank you. I'm super excited about the new name. It's really a lot of fun to be here.
Yeah, well, I am so excited about this next chapter in my career as an entrepreneur. You know, I love Mortgage Coach, and it's still an important part of our platform, but to be part of something bigger, TrustEngine, let's face it, in America, trust is not the default anymore. Forget about mortgage and lending and housing. I think that's the case, period. So it's exciting to build something that will help lenders be more trusted and turn that trust into more sales and more retention.
That's right. And one thing I love about the name TrustEngine is that it really speaks to our strategy, our mission. You know, we've talked about helping borrowers achieve financial freedom and also empowering lenders to develop that trusted relationship with borrowers. So it speaks to exactly what we're trying to do. And then the engine is really a nod to helping use data to really improve your operation, improve how you diagnose problems, improve how you engage with borrowers, and bring more value. So it's perfect fit for us.
So for any executive watching this, and of course, you know, loan officers are welcome to do this, but the content for the TrustEngine is really dedicated to leadership. You know, the theme, call it the North Star. I love that we've got the North Star in our logo, but the North Star for this YouTube channel is going to be modern leadership for lenders. So, and that means a lot of things. Clearly that means leveraging technology, but I do think there's more to being a modern leader than just leveraging technology. So Rich, before we get into specific stories of household names and how they're leveraging data, what are some traits of modern leaders from your perspective?
Man, that's a broad question, that's for sure. But there's a few things that I can tell you that I do and that I've kind of adopted both from experience as well as learning from others over time. So one is having a very clear strategy, right? So we talked earlier in the conversation here about having a vision, having a mission, having very clear strategic objectives that everyone in the company understands. That's one piece to it. Another piece is really working on team, right? Do you have the right people in the right roles? Are you working together truly as a team? Have you actually invested the time and energy to build those that trust foundation? If you think about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, for example, like I really live and breathe that. I think that's super important. And then the third piece of it really is around transparency and being data driven, really looking at things from a very quantitative viewpoint and trying to avoid those gut level decisions. Not saying you don't make any gut level decisions, but try and make them as data informed as you possibly can. So those are 3 things that I would say come right off the top of my head.
All right. So anyone watch this is going to be a central theme. I want to know what do you think are some of the pillars of modern leadership? You know, clearly technology is one of those. I think purpose driven. When Rich first came on board as a CEO here, you know, first thing he did is he got us all together. Let's document our strategy and let's have a strategy beyond just the business economics themselves. And we landed on all borrowers can achieve financial freedom. Now, we said borrowers, so we're here to help lenders, you know, even beyond mortgage, all lenders in all categories, all business models, anyone that is loaning someone money, we're here to help. And then we're all borrowers can achieve financial freedom. We're here to make sure that people who borrow money, they buy it in a way that's sustainable. They borrow it in a way that helps them achieve financial freedom, build their net worth. So I love that. I love transparency. Let's really dedicate the rest of this conversation to just stories from your career. I mean, you've got a really colored career.
Sure.
I'm going to put a link to Rich's LinkedIn profile down below. He's had a number of, very senior positions. He's been on the board of a lot of companies. So he's seen a lot of businesses leverage data, and I call it turning databases into data banks. So tell us a few stories of companies you worked with where they've done that, and you think it would help a lender. You think it would help a CEO, a head of production, a CTO of a lender. It would help them, I don't know, think and get it right faster.
Sure. So I mean, man, there's so many stories to choose from on this topic. So maybe let's just start with this whole idea of becoming more of a data-driven operation. And what does that mean? And putting it into practice. So here's an example. When I was CEO of SparkPost, and at SparkPost, by the way, we were one of the largest senders of commercial email in the world, and that was really our focus. And we were working with Disney actually on the launch of Disney Plus. So this was just a few years ago. And this launch of Disney Plus was very important. It had a lot of visibility. It was in the press. Everyone was asking the question, how can Disney compete with Netflix, for example? And so the importance that Disney would get this launch correct was absolutely critical, right? And so what we did in preparation for that launch, working with Disney, is we actually looked out across the industry at other similar companies who have done these very large launches where you have to engage at the same time with literally millions and millions of people to try and get them to sign up for a product or service. And there's some specific challenges with kind of doing this all at one time as opposed to over a period of time. One of the issues is that if you dramatically change your email sending, is what we saw, from say sending 10 million a month to a billion, then you can all of a sudden have your email blocked from various different ISPs, and those emails won't go to the consumers and they won't be able to interact with your email. So we use data from across the industry, analyze it to figure out how quickly we could ramp up Disney's email sending so that they could reach the maximum amount of consumers just to that point below that they would actually start to get blocked by different ISPs. This allowed us to maximize the effectiveness of the launch. And we went back and after we did the launch, which was hugely successful, we looked at the impact of some of the data that we used to really pace the launch. And we were able to calculate that the increase in subscribers was literally in the tens of thousands that we were able to achieve as a result of using that data to determine how to structure that launch. So that's just one example of really doing it in advance, right? Preparing yourself and looking at not only your internal data, but trying to access data of what else is going on in the industry, other companies that have successfully done it, or maybe have failed, right? And why they failed. So I thought that was an interesting story.
No doubt. So executives listening to this, what we're creating at this company is what we call a borrower intelligence platform. And as someone who has served the mortgage industry, both as an operator in the industry and as a technologist in the industry, I have seen lenders spend a lot of money on technology that either doesn't get used or doesn't deliver an ROI for their organization. One of the things that we are absolutely dedicated to, and I love the word that you use, paced. How many times, guys, you're an executive listening to this, and you're either not enough leads to your loan officers or too many leads or not reliable enough leads. So, part of what makes this platform so exciting, and I'm going to be interviewing Rich Labarca, our Chief Technology and Chief Product Officer soon, is how we're bringing these things that they've learned from big companies like, hey, in the mortgage business, no lenders are worrying about going from, millions to billions of messages. Maybe there's someone out there, but they're not doing it at that scale. But we're bringing these lessons learned to helping lenders. And right now, focused on mortgage lenders, helping them deliver the right message at the right time in a way that not only is measurable from a deliverability perspective, but is measured from an ROI perspective. So I love that story for a lot of reasons. What's another story you got?
We'll keep going. We got plenty of them. So another customer of ours was Apple, and we worked with Apple and Goldman Sachs, who partnered on the launch of the Apple Card. So this was another high profile launch. Very important that we get this one right. And so of course we did a similar thing to what we did at Disney, where we looked across the industry, we looked at the data, the best practices out there to make sure we get this right. But what happened was we actually got the launch out there, and we saw that tons and tons of people were signing up for the Apple Card. I mean, it was incredibly popular, but we were having a low percentage of folks actually complete the sign up process after getting into the funnel. And we were trying to figure out what is going on here. Why are all these people initially signing up, but then dropping out of the process before fully activating their card? And as we looked at the data, what we realized is that there were some problems specifically within the email, both the content, some of the links that were in there and the language that was being used, as well as some of the security settings that were causing it to go into the spam folder in certain ISPs. And so it was a welcome email after you asked to activate the card that actually walked you through the final steps. And so a lot of these people were not going through the final steps to activate their card simply because they weren't even getting the emails going to their spam folder. So we were able to make these corrections, again, using data to really analyze them. When you think about the volumes you're dealing with, to really dig in and dive in and understand where these problems are, it's very, very difficult to do unless you're truly going about it in a very quantitative and data-driven way. And so we were able to solve that problem and dramatically increase activation for the Apple Card, and it really had a pretty major needle moving effect for that launch.
So here's the connection I have to every mortgage executive listening to this. The activation of the card, think of that as a loan application. And think of how important it is that we're doing marketing that creates applications. You know, at Mortgage Coach, I'm very proud of how we would power loan officers and even leverage technology to create integrations so that a loan officer is delivering a better experience and delivering a better presentation. And we were able to measure that, because loan officers that use Mortgage Coach get less price exceptions. But I was always jealous of the sales boomerang crew. And I've always had this dream that we would be able to have the data and really measure what matters most. And that's the application. And then the application of the closed loan. So part of, when we've designed this borrower intelligence platform, it's to make sure that regardless of what CRM you use, to us, the most important thing is in the best CRM, it's the one you use and the one that integrates with us. But to be able to measure, okay, I gave a presentation, total cost analysis, and then I get an application. Or, hey, we created this data signal. We identified this consumer that looks like someone who is eligible for a loan. Did we get an app? Did it close? Was it a profitable application? That's what we're here to do. So I love that story. So let's do one story. And I think both of these stories are from SparkPost. You had a leadership role and were a top executive at Oracle. Any stories from tenure at Oracle come to mind?
Absolutely. And I'll tell one about Toyota, and it really relates exactly to what you were just talking about. And that is how to get predictive so that instead of being reactive to a customer, for example, if you're a lender and you find out that a borrower is already out there searching for a mortgage, by the time you're trying to reach out to them, you're being very reactive. You're on your heels and you're trying to give them a better offer. But if you can get predictive, get in front of that borrower, engage with them, develop that relationship well in advance before they're even out in the market, then you have a much better shot at being the first call, right? And that's really what you want. And so at Toyota, we had the exact same question from them saying, hey, how can we get more predictive, right? We want to sell more Toyota pickup trucks. And we had been doing a lot of analysis for them saying, look, here's a audience of people who are getting close to their final payment on their loan, or their car is starting to get to a certain age where it's very likely they'd be buying a new car, and reach out to these folks. And a lot of other car companies do the same sort of thing. And so they're all hitting these consumers at the same time, right when their final payment is about due, and it's likely someone is going to want to buy another car. And so you're in the mix with everybody else. So how do you differentiate yourself, get out there earlier? We ran a bunch of different models for them using artificial intelligence, some very sophisticated modeling. And we found that a number of different attributes which would indicate someone is likely to be a pickup truck buyer in the future. And one of the kind of just funny attributes that we found is that if you are someone who purchases beef jerky, you are very likely to be someone who in the future would be a purchaser of a Toyota pickup truck or of a pickup truck. And so we started to use signals like that. Like if you're someone that has purchased beef jerky in the past, let's start to market to you, let's start to engage with you. And it ended up being an incredibly effective predictor of whether or not someone could be a purchaser of a Toyota pickup truck. We obviously mixed it with other information, demographic and income information as well. But it was kind of a funny correlation that ended up being truly predictive.
So mortgage industry, that story should excite you. It really should, because here's the deal. There is no doubt that flash forward to 2025, as we build what we're building, we will be able to look at a database and we will be able to predict how many loans are in that database for that lender every month, every year. Of course, interest rate will matter. I mean, that'll be a barometer of, the lower the rates, the more loans within that database, but it's predictive. And right now, no one, while everyone, ourselves included, we're creating alerts for, oh, someone just pulled a credit report with someone else. Oh, someone has enough equity, looks like a cash out refi. But guys, what we're building is something that can, who is most likely to be a move up buyer? Oh, it looks like there might be a first time home buyer in this house. Well, oh, based off of demographics and data, looks like this might be someone that is either a real estate investor or ready for their second home. We're dedicated to, again, no borrower left behind. You give us your data and we will, what are your goals? Not only nationally, but locally, like identify in different markets, what are the trends in those markets. So I love that story. I'm gonna be interviewing Rich Labarkison. So I know he was part of your story at
Yes.
Oracle, and then he went on to Microsoft. Rich, I want to do more interviews like this centered around modern leadership for lenders. As I start doing that, what are some of your ideas on the types of interviews you'd like me to do? I'm going to interview people in our industry, but as our CEO, I want to give people a kind of a glance at what we're going to do, what kind of content we're going to be creating. So what kind of interviews would you love to see me do in this channel?
I think a couple things that come to mind from my perspective. I mean, as a CEO myself, I'm always interested in best practices of other CEOs and other folks in the industry and sharing those ideas. So, how do people solve problems? And it could be around people and team. It could be recruiting, and it could be how do you get people to work together well, particularly in tough situations, right? When things are going great, everyone gets along. When the chips are down that you really need a cohesive team that sticks together. That would be one area. I love this whole concept of how do you become more data driven, because there are a number of examples, and we talked about some of these today from other industries where companies have used this whole concept of leveraging technology in a cost-effective way, leveraging data to make better decisions and drive dramatically better performance, and really widen that gap between the companies that adopt technology, adopt a data-driven approach, and those that don't. I think that's happening right now in the mortgage industry and the lending industry. I know, Dave, you're a proponent of that, and you're seeing that as well. That's a very, very interesting topic. The third, I would say, is strategy. what actual strategic moves and strategic planning processes are CEOs using in this industry to figure out how to position themselves for success, how to stake their claim to a particular area in the industry that they're going to go dominate and really going to separate themselves from the pack. And how are they going about thinking that through? They may not want to disclose what their actual strategy is, but what's the process they're using to develop that?
Well, I love that. So anyone watching this, I'm going to be doing more interviews for leaders on best practices, on how are they becoming more data-driven, on strategy, how are they creating unique value propositions. If you are watching this and you're someone that you'd like to be interviewed by me and put into our channel to lead the industry, let me know. If you are watching this and you have ideas like, Savage, would love for you to interview X, whether they're in the industry or outside the industry, we want to bring leadership. We want to transform the industry, and with a central theme to help borrowers achieve financial freedom. We believe that lending money in America can help people achieve the American dream. And they don't get loans because they want the loan. They get the loan because they want the home. And the complete American dream is that home with financial freedom. And sometimes that means the loan is paid off and they're debt free. And sometimes that means they have enough money in investment accounts that paying off that loan is a strategic financial planning decision. We're building an ecosystem that sits on all of these CRMs. Think of all the technology you have in your data stack, and we want to put a trust engine around it. Like, we want to wrap a trust engine around it so that we're identifying the signals in the data, and then we're educating the consumer. So if you want to learn more about what we're doing, go to savageinsights.com, click on strategy session. That savageinsights.com, I'm trying to make a place where all my most recent best interviews that I think are important to both loan officers and executives, they're in there. And then, of course, it's always a place where you can schedule a strategy session. And a strategy session with our company means we're going to give you advice. We're going to give you ideas and strategies to become more data-driven. So Rich, any last thoughts before we wrap up this first interview of our new channel?
The last thing I would say, because you just mentioned that we're going to have this opportunity to work with you and do a strategy session. All the companies that I've seen that have been successful becoming data driven and really separating themselves from the pack, it's a collaboration, it's a partnership. And usually it's a partnership between themselves and other companies that are bringing a particular expertise to the table. That's what we're talking about doing as TrustEngine, and I'm super excited about that. And it's all about getting into this deep partnership where we can provide a lot of value for the lender to help them achieve their goals, and they lean in as well, and we learn together and grow together. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Go TrustEngine.
All right, like number one, my first interview in TrustEngine YouTube channel. More to come. Hopefully you got value. If you did get value, give us a like, share this with other mortgage leaders that you would think would get value from it. If you're a loan officer, share this with your executive team. We're going to be creating content that helps mortgage professionals, help families achieve financial freedom, and doing it in a way that actually increases your profits and your loans at the same time. So this is a wrap. Rich, thank you, my man.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.